Hey there folks, in this video we're going to be talking more about limits, how to evaluate them both algebraically and looking at a graph, but now we're going to see it, well, what if we have a piecewise function or some sort of disjointed graph? Well, let's take a look. Just to recap our methods for solving for limits, algebraically is we're going to try to always plug it in. If we get a number 0, great. If we get 0 over 0, that means somehow, some way, some shape or form, something will cancel out, or we might be stuck with an asymptote. So let's take a look at an example here. I've got x over x minus 3. If I were to look at a graph, I've got a rational function, x-intercept at 0, a vertical asymptote at 3, and a horizontal asymptote at 1. So if I were to look at a graph of this, here's what we would have. I'll use red. X-intercept would be 0, horizontal asymptote would be at 1, and a vertical asymptote is at 3. That's enough for me to get the general shape of this. It doesn't need to be perfect, but it's going to look something like this. So now, I've got my graph. As x approaches 3 from the left, it looks like we're going down to negative infinity. As it approaches 3 from the right, we're going up towards positive infinity. Those don't agree, so that overall limit does not exist. Let's say hypothetically, though, what if we didn't have a graph or we just brain farted, forgot? If I want to know the limit as x approaches 3 from the left, and I want to do this algebraically, I'm just going to choose a number really, really close to 3, but just barely before it. I'm going to choose 2.999. So if I plugged in 2.999 for x, here's what I would get. Up top, I'd get 2.999 over 2.999 minus 3 is 0.0001 with a negative out front. That's a really, really small number. Well, anytime you divide by a really small number, you get a really big result, and it's negative. How do we mathematically say a really big number but negative? Well, we'd use negative infinity. So you could have done it algebraically as well there. All right, let's take a look here. We're going to approach negative 3 from the positive side. I'm going to do this graphically first, and we'll do it algebraically afterwards. All right, graphically first, I've got an x-intercept at positive 1. So I look in the numerator for x-intercept. Denominator, vertical asymptote, at negative 3. For the horizontal asymptote, the degree for numerator denominator is tied, so it's going to be a value of 1 for the horizontal asymptote. This is the general shape of my graph. So if I'm approaching negative 3 from the right-hand side, it looks like we're going down forever. That's going to be negative infinity. Well, let's do that now algebraically. I need some number that's just barely to the right of negative 3. I'm going to say negative 2.9. I won't even go a whole bunch of nines, just 2.9. If I did negative 2.9 minus 1, oops, I don't know why this isn't writing here. Negative 2.9 minus 1 over negative 2.9 plus 3, I'm going to get negative 3.9 over, that would be a positive 0.01. Well, I have a negative number divided by a really small number. Something divided by a really small number is a really big result. Negative infinity. Now let's talk piecewise functions. So piecewise function, again, is where you have different functions that are maybe disjointed. So here I've got x minus 4 and negative 1/2 x squared plus 8. X minus 4 is going to be just a line, slope of 1, y-intercept is negative 4. Negative 1/2 x squared plus 8, that's going to be an upside down parabola. It got shrunk by a factor of 1/2 and shifted up 8. And what I want to know is, are these two functions oriented in such a way that they approach the same spot when x is 2, or are they just completely so disjointed and disconnected that right and left-hand limits, they don't agree? So if we are approaching 2 from the left-hand side, we are going to concern ourselves with anything that has values less than 2. Well, here, I've got less than or equal to 2, so I'm going to use this function. Now, if this was a 2 from the right, then I would use this top function. If this was a 2 without any sort of left-hand or right-hand specification, we'd have to use both. So I'm going to plug in 2 for this function here. I've got negative 1/2 times 2 squared plus 8. That is negative 1/2 times 4 plus 8. That is negative 2 plus 8. That is 6. This next one, now we have a two-handed limit. It's not specifying left side or right side, so what I need to do is make sure that both of these agree. I want to make sure both of these values agree, then the limit exists. If this has a limit of, say, 6, and this one has a limit of, say, 8, then they don't agree. So I'm going to plug in 1 for both of these. If I plugged it into that first function, 4 minus 1 is 3. If I plugged it into the second one, I'd have 4 minus 1, which is 4, minus 1 squared, which is 1. So 4 minus 1 is, again, 3. So the overall limit is going to be 3. Now you might notice that the function's not even defined there, because neither of these have the inclusive underline, the or equals to portion. But remember, our function does not need to be defined for the limit to exist. All right, that's it for this video. You know the drill. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And as always, folks, good luck, have fun, be safe, roll tide.